Welcome to Sometimes There's Side Eye, a podcast about two friends having real and unfiltered conversations about dogs and people. Listen as we talk about our lives with dogs, training, behavior, share some laughs, and a whole lot of banter. I'm Heather.
And I'm Christy.
What are we talking about today, Christy?
Today, we're going to talk about when experienced dog owners feel it is necessary to take on difficult dogs. And I think this stemmed from my friend having a very easy foster come to stay with her part time. And her foster mom loved this dog and decided not to keep her because she felt that she was so easy she could go to any home and she should probably just not adopt her and adopt a more difficult dog that
Mm,
other people can't take in.
mm.
And that made me really sad for the foster mom because I think it tells kind of a lie in one space that there are not enough good dogs to go around
Oh, that's an
from
interesting take. Okay.
from the shelter, and two, that you have to not enjoy your dog fully to do good.
Mm.
To
So,
have to feel like you have to take on a difficult dog.
yeah, I feel like at this point in my life, I'm just an asshole, and I'm like, I want all the good, easy dogs. So, like, I clearly am. Your friend is much better than I.
I do
Um,
feel like this happens a lot in
it
rescue
does.
that people who are experienced dog
Yeah.
handlers feel that they have to take on a more difficult dog. And I get it. I do.
You know what's really interesting? I feel like in the rescue community, it's that way. And in the
Mhm.
dog training community, we all be like, give us the good, easy. I hate the word good. Let's not say good. Give us
Yeah.
the easy, stable, balanced, dog social, people social, damn dogs. I
Yeah.
mean, I isn't that like interesting though? I feel like
Yeah.
because I follow so many dog trainers at this point, and majority of them are really just like, you know what, I'm tired and I'm not taking the tough case. I could, I'm capable. I'm just not doing it. And it made me think about many moons ago
Mhm.
when we got Layla, our first pit bull. So that would have been 2004, probably. Yeah, 2004. And then we decided that we wanted to adopt another one in
Mhm.
2005. And we said, or another dog, I should say.
Mhm.
And I really wanted a Rottweiler, not surprising to anyone. And then we, yeah, and then my husband really didn't. And so
Also not
we,
surprising
not
if you
surprising.
know Chair.
So we had one Rottweiler at that time and then our little pit bull. And I said, you know what? We're going to adopt another pit bull because who's lining up just to like take a rescued pit bull?
Mhm.
Boy, I thought I was like quite the little saint there. But I remember that sentiment of I'm going to take on this more difficult dog, which I don't think pit bulls are more difficult. I think that you have more responsibility in their image and some other things with insurance and whatnot that makes them a little bit more to own from a management standpoint, but no more than any other quote unquote dangerous dog. But it did make me think about that, you know? And then fast forward to today, and I'm like, fuck, just give me what's easy.
Yeah. But did you feel at the time that you were taking on a difficult dog or just a breed that you found was near and dear to your heart that wasn't widely accepted by the public?
Yeah, I think two, number two, more than
Yeah.
anything. Definitely that they didn't have, and this was when we were in Pennsylvania. So, you know, huge inventory and not a
Mhm.
lot of people like lining up to take pit bulls really.
Yeah.
But I feel sad for your friend.
Yeah, and I'm sure that person will get a great dog that's good for them. And what what also made me laugh was when I said that, like when I was like, "Ah, it makes me sad that she said that." Also, like, I don't know that people would classify Jackson as the easiest dog
Mm,
either. but he doesn't feel difficult for me.
Mm.
There's some behavior stuff that like,
Well, first week Jackson Christie, I don't know.
ooh, yeah, that was
No,
rough.
but
Okay, like
there's an
the first
adjustment
month,
period.
the
Yes,
first month was not
adjustment.
good.
There was
Um,
adjustment. There was adjustment.
yes. And I think anytime a dog comes from rescue, even really great rescues, there is an adjustment period
Or
where I feel that
breeders.
they're almost like frantic,
Yeah,
like they're trying to figure out how they belong in your house
yeah,
and get attention and not, all the rules, all that.
yeah,
But he was a little over the top on being
yeah.
a jerk. No, um,
You
just a
guys,
thief.
you
He
were
was a thief.
finding your way. You were finding your
Yes.
way. I mean, hey,
But
Trenton came from a breeder, and look how long it took us to find our way. So, you know.
right? Yeah. Yeah. And and I just, you know what? Just like this week, like three times this week, I like he was laying on my lap. I'm like, I'm so glad I adopted you. Like that was just the best
Um,
choice.
I've been
Like
feeling I've been feeling real thankful for my little bat-eared one too. So that's nice.
big-eared kids.
Yeah. I also think about, and we've talked about this before, how different dogs and different things about dogs' personalities are easier or more difficult for people to handle. There are
Yes.
things that you're like, oh yeah, no problem. And I'm like, oh hell no. And all of it in our friend group, we all have our things, right?
Mhm.
That I look at my friends' dogs and I love them dearly, but do I want to live with them? Absolutely not.
Like
Staffords.
Heather and I,
Um,
but yes, Heather
Staffords.
and I both have said like the Staffords, the
Yeah,
screaming would
not for
really get us.
us.
I don't mind the talking back though,
Yeah,
or that they do, but the full-on screams that
yeah.
they do, and Trin too, her screams would drive
Uh,
me crazy. I love
yeah,
her to death,
yeah.
but yeah, they're a
She's
lot.
she's a little screamy for me. One thing that saves her ass is that she is not screamy at home. So
Yeah.
that yeah, that definitely saves her hiney. But yeah, so I think my point in saying that is this whole like hard, difficult, easy,
Mhm.
whatever thing depends on the people. And I also think but at the same time, there are those dogs. And I used to say it all the time at the shelter. I would say, that's a just add water dog. Do you remember me saying
Yes.
that? And so
Y- Um, Bigly, yeah.
yeah, so that's like a dog that you just meet and they're like dog social, people social. They're really well
Can go to any
regulated,
home.
can go to any
Yeah.
home. Like you literally just add water and they're ready to go. I
Mhm.
fell in love with a just add water dog and was lucky enough that she went somewhere with a friend, Annabella.
Mhm.
And you know what? We met her in the shelter. I was like, this dog's bomb. And she went into the home and she was exactly what we thought she was. She was an incredible dog at the shelter who has been incredible her whole life. So, like, I
Yeah.
think there are those dogs,
Mhm.
but I also think that the majority of dogs, it just depends on the match.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like, I think Jackson would be an incredibly difficult dog if he wasn't mentally stimulated and physically exercised. So
Mhm.
he needs, and it's a lot like to take on, but it didn't feel difficult to me. It's
Yeah.
felt like a fun challenge.
Yeah.
And I think like my brother's dog almost felt too easy because for me,
Oh, that's a great point.
'cause she was just so easy. Like, sometimes I would forget she was here when I was
Well,
dog sitting her.
so because she was a rehome is why you're kind of
Yeah,
saying like, it was a
yeah,
rehome situation. Yeah. And she just
yeah,
came in
and
and was
she's
like, I'm here.
yeah, and she's so perfect, and what's hilarious is, like, I could have never taken her because she is not dog social.
Yes.
And it would be a non-negotiable for me. I could not take her. However, she is the dog that my parents can dog sit who are not
Mm,
dog people. She is like the easiest dog to live with and be with and have in your home. And yet she would not be easy for me because I would want other dogs in her
yeah.
life.
Yeah.
So she would be a dog that wouldn't be a good fit for me, but is like the perfect fit for so many other people.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, I think it's a really tough thing because when it really struck me because I was coming from the angle of you were like, oh, my friend is going to let this dog that she really likes go so that she can take on a
Mhm.
more difficult case. And I was like, oh,
Mhm.
hell no. Like,
Right. Yeah.
I don't want a difficult case. I have had plenty and I am done with it. And I think everyone's meter of what is plenty is different.
Mhm.
But I sit back and I'm like, yeah, no, not at this point in my life. I'm just not ready. I'm not willing to sign up for that.
I just want I just want people who volunteer, who
Yeah.
are in fostering or work with dogs to just have the freedom to say, wow, this is a really good dog. And it could probably go to any home. And my home
And it's my
is
home.
my home is an okay place for that to
Yeah.
land.
Yeah.
Like my home is a good place for that as well.
Yeah.
And I just feel I want people to know they deserve to have that good, easy dog for them,
Hell yeah.
whatever that looks like.
Because you know what else? If all you're doing is taking the difficult cases, your burnout is right around the corner. If all you're doing is managing dogs for
Mhm,
year after year after year after year, it
mhm,
is mentally, physically, emotionally taxing and
mhm.
you will burn out. And then you will
Mhm.
help no one. Here we go. Oxygen mask on first. Like
Right, yeah,
if a dog that you feel is quote unquote a good dog for you, damn it. Like take that dog. Like you
yeah,
deserve it.
yeah, yeah. You don't have to wait for the most challenging dog that you can handle to come along. I think if anybody is in the positive reinforcement world, they probably know Trish McMillan. And I don't see her posting like, I saw this dog eating neighborhood children, and I thought, I'm probably the only one who can help it. I should adopt it. No, she
No.
adopts dogs who are great with her current
And
dogs
fosters.
and
Yep.
and farm animals and fosters dogs. And I think that's so smart. Like
Hmm.
she is very specific about what kind of dog gets let into
Hmm.
her home permanently.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree with you. And that is true. And I don't look at her and go, well, you could totally take on like the hardest case out there. Like,
She
no,
could. She could, but
I
I
know,
don't think
but
she needs to.
I don't think she needs to either. This is also like a little random thought because now I'm running through all the dogs that have gone. I love this because it makes me think about all the dogs that I've had in my life. One thing I would say to people is to don't make an assumption that if a dog has been sitting on the shelf waiting for a while, that it means they're not a good dog because we have adopted two long time sitting around. Remy was with rescue for 2 years. And let me tell you, Remy, in a lot of ways, was just Edgewater.
Yeah.
Remy came into our home, Pitbull, and she literally walked in during the intro and was like, hey, y'all. Well, she was more like, hey, guys, because she really was kind of dumb as a box of rocks, but
Stop it.
such a good dog. But she literally just came in, and at the time we had another female pit bull, well, that she was going to interact with, and cat. We had Cash then, and she just walked in and was like, "Hey, what's up? Like, I'm here."
Yeah.
And that was it,
Yeah.
right? So she was in foster for a long time, 2 years plus. And then the other one was Daisy. Daisy bounced around. She was returned twice, I believe, definitely once, to no fault of her own. And she was essentially in rescue for 4 years. Between her medical recovery for her knees and then everything else that went on with her, it was a long time. And that dog, I mean, she walked in just the same a year later to live with two other pit bulls and a Rottweiler and was like, I'm here. This is my couch. I'll be good. That was it.
And if you met Daisy, she was magical. Like
Oh,
she
yeah.
was
Oh,
so
yeah.
amazing. And
Yeah.
like to think that for 4 years of her life, she was basically in rescue.
Yep.
And I do think, even as somebody who is in rescue and like knows that sometimes it's not any reason, no fault of the dogs,
Mm-hmm.
but I do give pause when I do see a long timer,
Yeah.
like, well, why haven't they been
Why
adopted?
haven't?
But also, like, keep in mind, sometimes it's the economy, or it's, a million other, maybe it's that the rescue is not good with social media, which is where a lot of dogs are getting adopted through now. Maybe they just don't have that outreach that other rescues. It could be a
Or
million reasons.
they don't do a good job of letting their dogs go. Or maybe it's just a group that takes a little longer to home their dogs, shall we
Yeah,
say, than the
yeah,
average. Yeah.
yeah.
I no, I totally agree with you. And like Daisy's return, she was with her person for a year, and then she was an elderly woman and she couldn't afford her care anymore. That's an
Mm,
economy situation. That
yeah.
wasn't her fault. And you think about it, Daisy was with us for like 3 years and was a therapy dog for 2 of those years. I mean, we are talking about a
Mhm.
rock solid dog.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that too. Don't just make an assumption that if somebody's sitting around on the shelf for a little bit, that they don't
Mhm.
that it means that they're not a quote unquote easy good dog.
Right.
They
Mhm.
just might not be in the right situation to find their match.
Yeah. And I think, like you hit on earlier, everybody's level of easy is so different too, because
Yes.
there are some breeds that I just find the breed in general to be difficult. Don't come at me, people.
Yeah.
You all know who you are. If if there was something in your heart that was like, was she talking about me? Yeah, maybe.
Probably.
Um, There are, like, okay, not to pick on Malinois, but Malinois are not your typically not your just add water dogs.
Mm-mm.
Like, they take a lot, but there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of breeds that take a
Mm-hmm.
lot of knowledge, and I would not say is a great for a first time dog
Mm-hmm.
owner, just in general.
I mean, to
So,
be honest, Jackson would not be easy to me.
okay,
Why?
I don't know why.
Why? Because I don't walk my damn dogs.
Oh yeah, yeah, he needs
So, like, that is something so simple that he's a great dog and I adore him. But, don't come at me, people, because I don't walk my dogs. But I don't daily walk my dogs around the neighborhood. That is something that would make me look at Jackson and be like, yeah, I'm not interested. So,
And I
you're
walk him
right.
less when your dogs are here, just truth be told.
And
And then
when
by
I,
like usually by day 2 or 3, he just goes to the door and is like, "Excuse me, get back on it, lady."
yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, okay."
But to go back to your point, like really, everyone's like easy is dependent on their lifestyle and who they live with and
Mhm,
where they live. If you have access, I have a friend who is a single person and she has 6 dogs. And
mhm,
some of those dogs are extremely high energy and need a
mhm.
lot of training, but she backs up to like gorgeous land and
Yeah,
can go. If I had land like that to walk my dogs in, I would walk them every damn day. It literally backs up to this beautiful woodland. You have to take it all into account.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I feel like too, some people might be thinking, but when you guys did the episode about sports and you had Danny on, she talked about taking a difficult dog because who is not right for the breeding program.
Hmm.
And I do think that is very different because that is when you breed a dog, you are taking on the responsibility of
Yeah.
that litter when you make that choice
Yeah. I think
for
you're,
the life of the litter. So
yes.
I don't want you to anybody to think we're being contradictory in saying, well, it's okay for some people and not for others. There are different rules.
Mhm.
there
There
there just
are.
are.
Yeah.
There are
I
different rules
think,
because you
I,
make a conscious choice either way.
Yeah, I think you're talking about Kevin, her current dog, who she
Mhm.
bred and kept, and he was very difficult for her for a while. It seems to be turning a corner now. And you're right, she bred him. That entire litter is her responsibility. It is
Mhm.
very, very different than being in the rescue community and taking on a dog that was not produced by you, we should say. I
Yeah.
completely agree with you.
And I do feel like maybe people just need to know that the fact that the dog is in rescue is not your fault and
Mm,
it's not your sole responsibility. and there's enough good dogs to go around that you can find a dog that fits with where you're at too.
Mhm.
And if you fall in love with an easy dog, a dog that can just be a just add water dog, it's okay to keep that dog. We convinced our friend Allison to keep her Chihuahua mix Mike.
Mhm.
And she felt like he was a dog who could go to anyone. We
Mhm.
said he can, and it's okay if he goes to you.
Yes.
And she was really unsure about keeping it. And he's just been so he
He's
has
a
welcomed in
joy.
so many
Yes.
fosters, and he is just the best. And I've already said, like, I want him and to go to me in her will.
Oh,
Like,
we're
I need,
are we like,
I
are we doing a plan
no,
over here? Like, what's
no,
happening?
no. I mean, she's got a backup for all her dogs, you know. I'm like, I will claim Mike.
It actually, Mike is a great example
Mhm,
because you think about everybody convinced Allison to keep Mike,
mhm.
and look at how many dogs Mike has made an influence on in being in Allison's home as she continues to foster because he is a stable, well rounded dog. That is such an interesting point. How it's not just like you deserve it, there might be something else in store too, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah. There doesn't have to
And
be,
she did
but there might be.
right. And she did take on a very difficult dog after adopting Mike. She
Mhm.
adopted a second dog who is extremely, uh, yeah, I would say she's extremely difficult. She's
Yeah.
easy for Allison to live with, though. And Allison doesn't need a super snuggly dog, although Mike is. And Tinsel's eh, has some sensory issues that can't, she really wants to be loved, but she can't stand too much physical touch. And she was the right fit for Allison as well,
Hmm.
in that, I mean, there is something special about Tinsels. Tinsels didn't love me for 2 years, and she likes me now. I don't know if she loves me, but she does like me. Like
You
she
always
does
tell me
engage with me.
you will go to Allison's and you will like report back. Tensel's like took a treat for me today. And I'm like, whoa.
Tinsels
And
gave me a kiss.
guys, like
Tinsels let me pet her twice.
literally these Tensel's reports have been going on for years at this point.
Years.
Christy is so
Yeah,
proud. But
like 5 years, I think.
but do you think that she could have or should have or would have kept Tinsels if it not for Mike? Because I feel like Mike is a good support for her, for that dog.
They have a very special relationship, Mike and
Yeah.
Tinsels, that they play nonstop, where Tinsels doesn't do that with every dog.
Yeah.
And there was, yes, she definitely sees a joy between the two of
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. So I think this doesn't need to be like a long drawn out episode, but it just like
them.
still really hit me in the gut and the heart and it does every time that the subject
Mhm.
comes up, you know? And I feel really passionate about it. And I want people to keep in mind that dogs are to be enjoyed and they want
Yes.
to be enjoyed. And
Yes.
they want to have a relationship with you that is meaningful, whatever that looks like. So if a good dog comes along and you have the resources and you feel a pull towards that dog, I mean, you might want to stop and pause because there's something there. And
Yeah.
I don't push dogs on anyone, but don't say to yourself, I don't deserve an easy dog. I don't deserve a good dog because that is just not true.
And one thing I will say that Heather told me while I was fostering Jackson that was really helpful was because Heather heard my ups and downs and all
Mhm.
arounds about Jackson. And when I was considering him, and then talked myself out of it with her, and then, talked myself into it with her, and then talked myself back out of it. So she went through it all with me. And at one point, I think I said something along the lines of, I'm so afraid he's going to go to the wrong home.
Mhm.
And Heather was very blunt with me and said, you cannot keep him for the sole reason of that you don't approve of the adopter, or that he might go to a home that you don't love. If you're going to keep him, it has to be because you love him, like
Mhm.
you want him. And and at that point, I think I said, oh yeah, that's the only reason I would want to adopt him is because I'm
Hmm.
afraid he'll go to the wrong home.
Hmm.
And then that changed over the
Hmm.
months. And I was
Hmm.
like, no, I want to keep him because I love him.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think something else I said to you was just because he's a good dog doesn't mean he's your good dog.
Yes.
So that's
Yep.
like the flip side of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. You
Yep.
did tell me that.
Hmm.
Yeah, because then I started seeing the good in him,
Hmm.
and you
You
said
were
he's a good
unsure
dog.
still. Yeah.
Yeah. And I am glad that you gave me that advice, and I waited until I felt like, no, he's my good dog, because I think had I adopted him just because other people might not have been the right
Out of
fit
fear.
for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, out of fear. Yeah. I think there would have always been like a smidge of resentment there. Like, what, man, what if I would have gotten rid of him and like gotten a
Hmm.
better dog or like a
Hmm.
different dog and now I'm like, I made my choice and I am super happy with it.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine that there was a better dog out there for me.
Yeah, I feel like too, you were on this timeline, and there were times where you felt pressured by it because he would get an application and then it would just be such a mismatch and you'd be like, "Ooh,"
Yeah.
but at the same time, you had to kind of like come around to him. And I think the universe or whatever you want to say just allowed that to happen the way it needed to happen,
Yeah.
which is great because Jackson
Yeah.
belongs. But
Yeah.
I would never want someone to ever feel pressured either way. And I do, and I know I said it already, but I'm going to say it again. I- If you continue to take every difficult dog, the chances of you burning out and being able to not either be unable or not want to help
Mhm.
future dogs is very high. We're going to have a future episode. We're going to have Dr. Jen, I'm going to just call her Dr. Jen, back
Yeah.
to talk about some of that stuff and get some coping mechanisms for some PTSD stuff. But seriously, there you will get to a point where you will probably just hit a wall. And that's
Yeah.
not good for anybody,
Yeah.
especially you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. And you matter. I
Yes.
don't know that we say that
Ooh,
enough in the dog community, but
yes.
the the human side matters too.
Yes. So this is really funny. Okay, we're gonna wrap up here, but we had a comment on our Spotify. And just so y'all know, whenever someone leaves us a comment, if it's an older episode, I always go back and listen to that episode again because I'm always curious to, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
what did
been
you
three
hear?
years.
Yeah.
So it was the episode about shelter dogs and social media. And I went back and listened and I was like, well, first of all, I was like, I still believe that.
Yep.
It's like I still agree. But in that episode, we were kind of talking about like shaming adopters and everything, and not us shaming, other people shaming. And at one point, you said, well, if no one in our community is good enough to adopt dogs, where do we get adopters? It's
Yeah.
like the people matter. That's
Hmm.
whether you're on the rescue side, whether you're on the adopter side, whomever you are right, Christy. We do not say it enough. The humans matter, and without all of us, we don't have dogs.
Yeah.
So I love that sort of little put a pin in it, man. Close it.
Perfect. If you've enjoyed this episode, subscribe, rate, and share us wherever you get your podcasts. Also, come on over to Instagram and engage with us at Sometimes There's Side Eye.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.